you see another. And it is really interesting. Poor woman lost her dog while people are dying. Now, I have pets. I've had dogs. I love them. They're great. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the comparison factor. This is not of the scale of the incident to have someone talking about their dog when they're fully clothed, apparently well fed and everything, and it's like
she wasn't hurting.
It's like one young church minister's wife was telling a group of church women who actually were having difficulties in making ends meet. And so they were discussing how terrible this was, or how much that problem was in just getting meals on the table, so to speak. And this poor young minister's wife says, yeah, I understand exactly what you're going through. Why, the other day I couldn't get Sears to get the curtains that we wanted for our living room. She really understood what the average person goes through. I mean, folks, come on, give me a break. It's time to grow up and be adults about these things and see what's coming on this world and understand it and get serious. We're dealing with a creator of the universe who is now speaking to us in the only way that human beings will listen. So anyway, while all of this is going on, a lot of news has disappeared from sight. And a lot of the things we've told you about are actually starting to come to pass. And so I thought I would read quickly some headlines to you and read a statement and then watch this next video insert. Saudi King Abbas supported meeting, Musharraf. Quetta, September 1, defending his government's initiative of holding talks with Israel at the level of foreign ministers. President General Pervez Musharraf said here on Thursday that Thursday's meeting in Istanbul had the support of Palestinian President Mohammed Abbas and Saudi King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz, etc. And it says, is this the one that has the final quote that's interesting on it? No, it's on another one. So here's Pakistan starting to deal with Israel, friends. First official talks held with Israel. Stand on Palestine unchanged. Kasuri. Istanbul, September 1. Israel and Pakistan held their first ever high-level talks here on Thursday in a bid to normalize ties buoyed by Israel's pullout from the Gaza Strip and its desire to better its ties with Arab and Muslim states in general. This is a major event, folks, whether you understand it or not. We've been telling you this for years. And this is one of the reasons Gaza had to go back to the Philistines. The modern-day Philistines are the Palestinians, you know. Doesn't matter whether they're descended or not. Biblically, prophetically speaking, they are the modern-day Philistines. Another thing, we told you somewhere between 2003 and 2005, everything should be in position for a Palestinian state, if not a Palestinian state. So here we have Bush's proposal for a Palestinian state. Former U.S. advisor Aaron Miller says Bush hopes to establish a Palestinian state based on 1967 borders by the end of his term. Gaza City from My Way News, September 3rd, that's today. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas on Saturday said Mideast peace talks should resume immediately after Israel completes its Gaza withdrawal and expressed hope that a Palestinian state will be established by next year. There's only one program on this planet that's been telling you this would all come about. And this is all being hidden, interestingly, by the more locally important news of the hurricane that has struck the southern coast of America. Now, I want to read this and see if you can pick it up in the insert we're going to see from 1995. Israel's relationship with Pakistan warms. Jerusalem. Israel hailed a diplomatic breakthrough Thursday with Pakistan as the first fruit of its Gaza pullout and a harbinger of warmer ties with other Muslim nations after the first public meeting between the foreign ministers of the two countries. And then it goes down and says, in an interview with Israel's Channel 2 TV, Kasuri gave the meeting a broader context, countering the image of a world battle within Islam against the background of terror attacks by extremists. As far as the Islamic countries are concerned, and countries like Pakistan, there can be peace, he said. We live in a global village, and all this talk about a clash of the civilizations is disastrous and suicidal. Now keep this next statement in mind as you watch the video, done in 1995. Shalom has put a high priority on forging relations with the Islamic world, saying he hopes 10, that's T-E-N, you know, the big 1-0, 10 countries from the Persian Gulf and North Africa would now set up diplomatic representations in Israel. He has not named the countries, but we have. Now, if the insert's ready, let's get it going, because otherwise we're going to run out of time. So let's see that. Now, here's the other map that's a little bit closer to home. Up here, where it says Phoenicia, this is where Lebanon, the area of Lebanon is, and this is going to be a new reestablishment of ancient Tyre here. Because Lebanon, as it is today, is going to come out of this nonsense and form itself into what we would call modern Phoenicia. And then these nations around here, Ammon, Syria, Moab, Edom, as you can see Edom down here, these are the nations mentioned in Psalm 83. And even if they're not in this area right now, in the next few years, you will find specific governmental changes going on here until we have 10, probably there will literally be kingdoms.
We're going to have different new borders. Is what
right. Then another thing over here, if you can look right here, it says Philistia.
Philistia, yeah.
That is where the new Palestinian state will be established. And the PLO will probably be the ones right in here. And they will be the modern day Philistines. And you can see what's happening to poor Israel. It's being surrounded here.
Sure.
So this thing with Iraq is, as far as I'm concerned, just leading up to this particular thing. And ancient Iran, from out of where Cyrus came, ancient Persia, will actually go into cohorts with Israel and build the end time. Okay, we're back. Now, I don't know if anybody knows or not, but that was right on the money, right on the price. And in 1991, we said it was going to be 2 years away. Can you get more specific than that?
I don't think so, but I mean...
prophecy from the Bible is so general. Was that specific, Arlene?
That was specific, yes, it was, indeed.
Now, the interesting thing was there, if you look on a map where Philistia was, that's why I was able to say it was Gaza they were going to give away, because that is where Gaza was. If you look at a modern day map, any idiot can put the 2 and 2 together like that. If that's Philistia, and today it's called Gaza, guess what? They're going to get Gaza. What is so difficult about that, except the so-called preachers and prognosticators don't want to believe what it says? Excuse me, I mean, they don't really want to believe what it says. And it's surprising to me that it's all there. It's all there. Now, I was going to save this for another time because I couldn't get the news article about it, but if you heard there the last bit of that, I was saying, and Iran and Iraq, etc., however I was saying it, this was in 1990.
Yes.
We're going to go in to help Israel rebuild this temple. And I think that's interesting because I don't know about anybody else that's telling that. Do you?
I haven't heard anyone, no.
Okay, before we go to the next tape, I dare anyone to challenge that that was not specific, to the point, ahead of time.
On the button.
And on the button. Anybody that says otherwise is a blithering idiot. That's what it boils down to. But to watch it, it doesn't seem very miraculous, does it? Because
it's really strange. It's really strange how it just doesn't hit the senses, you know.
Now,
it doesn't make it.
Right. I interrupted.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It doesn't make it to the heart, to the mind, you know.
Now let's hope somebody
it sort of stays
gets
on
it.
the perimeter of people's minds.
Let's hope somebody gets it. Now, you know, certain things have to occur before this temple in Israel can be rebuilt. And since I mentioned it in that second part, I might as well talk about that a little bit, because that's another thing in prophecy that on this show we've talked about, I think, in more specifics than anybody else.